Greetings. I am Lord Reginald Pippin, great-great-grandson of Radamer II, King of Madagascar. I am drinking a little ambrosia. Yes, that I acquired by arm wrestling Thor. And would you believe it, that bastard had a joy buzzer on the whole time. Strange. Yes, but it's quite good. And yeah, that whole immortality thing is kind of nice, but well, what have you. Yes, my mother. Yes, strange lady. Big bosoms. Yes, my mother. Yes, I was quite well fed as a young lad. But anyway, she was noticed by a merchant in Madagascar who had royal blood. Oh, yes, and he did see her. And what did he do? Well, the gleam in his eye is what happened, and I am now here. I was brought into being, like the birth of a giant god. Well, that is what the women sometimes call me. But yes, she learned of his royal bloodline, and was quite smitten with him. But she did not like being tied down and all that, so what did she do? She took the money that he had, and she fled to Italy, her homeland, which is where I grew up. Yes, I grew up in the foothills of Mount Etna, on the island of Sicily. And there was much wine to be had. Yes, much wine. And ladies. You see, the women there are very free with themselves. And they are very light and very live. And they move. Especially when you drag them into the vineyards and have your way with them. Ha ha! Yes, wine! Wine is good! But that is a different tale. My lust in the vineyard was it was incredible. It was amazing. The women they cheered me and they toasted me. Yes, they did. But that is not my tale. You see, every day after I had had with my lovemaking, I would head down to the Tyrrhenian Sea. Yes, and I would clean my body of all the sweat that the ladies had got on me. And it turned out that my virility was increased tenfold. You see, the seawater has special properties. And one day, when cleaning my manhood in the sea, a strange, voluptuous woman came out of the water. And you see, her hair was made from seaweed, and her voice was like the sound of careening jackals. But to me, that was quite sexy. So underneath the waves, this woman rocked me, and her seaweed wrapped around me and ensnared me. And you see, she took me down to the bottom of the sea. And there, she said, the blessing of her lovemaking, the cost of that was enslavement for 6 years. So for 6 long years in chains, bound and gagged, with a strange red ball. For 6 years I suffered under her torment. But I also enjoyed it, you see. And when my time had come to an end, she unceremoniously just dumped me on the shores of Brazil. Brazil, of all places! The nerve of that bitch! Never trust a watery tart. And that is where my tale takes a strange turn. For you see, on the shores of Brazil, I was washed forth, and my naked form lay prostrate on the sand, and crabs started to bite at me and clean me off, and they ate all my clothing. But the ladies of Brazil, the ladies of Brazil, they are the finest of all the world, for you see, I have had all of them. But on those shores, they grabbed me up, and they lifted me off the sand, and they shooed off the crabs and kicked them, and later stepped on them and ate them and regurgitated them into my mouth. For you see, that is a delicacy in Brazil. And yes, the women there, they looked at my prostrate naked form and they said, "This is a god belched forth from the seas. We must worship him. Yes, and we must put great shrines up. Yes, great phallic-like shrines to the sky." For you see, I am very well endowed. This is my father. I think I got it from my father's side. Maybe my mother's side. But anyway, the cult formed, yes, and many of the Brazilian women came to me. And you see, there were many. And every night I would choose a different voluptuous cultist from the throng of my worshippers, and I would take them under the boughs of the rainforest trees and have my way with them. It was pretty good. So there I was, in Brazil, worshipped as a god, as rightly is probably good to do. And one night, there was a new member of my cult, a fiery woman, a woman that, the lust of her eyes just smoldered and burned. And you see, she had some sort of great madness about her, and I was lured to her like a moth to the flame, a very, very horny moth to the flame. And you see, this fiery, tempestuous woman laid with me on the lush green grass and ground and the rotting flesh of corpses. And yes, before I could finish, because it takes me quite a while to finish, you see, she scratched me violently on the back, and she must have had some strange poison laced on her fingertips, and as she scratched my muscle-laden back, the poison seeped into my skin, and into my blood, and into my very brain. Been quite a little off since then. But you see, I woke up, and what strange thing had befallen me? My manhood had been tattooed as a frog. A very large frog, but still a frog. What was she thinking? And I scoffed off the pain. You see, I feel not pain. I am a god. I am worshipped by the Brazilian women. But nonetheless, my manhood now was green and had a big tongue thing kind of on the side, which was kind of strange to describe and kind of tell. But that's a different story, yes. So there I was, lying in the rainforest in Brazil, and my crotch was a frog. What to do? Many thoughts went through my head, yes, many thoughts. And while I was thinking, lying prostrate naked on the rainforest floor, an anaconda attacked me. A devilish anaconda. It came out of the depths of the forest, and it wrapped around me, and I wrestled with it in the Brazilian rainforest, and alas, I was defeated. For you see, this anaconda had come up from hell, and had thought that my manhood was actually a frog, and had bit into it. Ah, the pain! But it realized something. Yes, it realized something. I think I'll have a little more of my ambrosia now, yes. What it realized was that was no ordinary frog. Tasted a little different and was a little bit more, crunchy. And then it realized that I was no ordinary man, that I was worshipped as a deity. So it asked me something. It threatened me. It said, "You must find me the largest and juiciest snipe in all the world, and then, only then, will I let go of your strange frog phallus." What was I to do? And then I thought of my homeland, of Madagascar, where there are the largest and juiciest snipes in all the world. Yes, I would return to my homeland and see what fate awaited me there. Upon arriving in Madagascar, my presence had sent shock waves through the land. They overthrew their republic. They said, "The heir has come. The great-great-grandson of Radamar II has returned. Yes, the royal blood was once more on the land, and the land and the king were one. And it so happened that the ladies of the land and me were one too. But we could not proceed in the normal fashion. Yes, it was strange. I could not copulate with the women, but the snake did. And I got to watch. So that was okay. So, here I was, my manhood wrapped with this giant anaconda. And I had to buy very large pants to hide that fact. It looked kind of strange. The ladies were always interested, but I could not do anything with them. Alas, it was a dark time in my history. But, having now become king of Madagascar, and after they cleaned up all the blood off the streets, I declared that there should be a great snipe hunting, and that any of the finest snipe hunters in the land should come and ask to be in my service as king. And lo and behold, a militant band of lemurs came forth from the jungle. And they said, "We have found several snipes that we are allowed to hunt." For you see, snipes are very intelligent creatures. And in fact, before I had overthrown their republic government, the snipes had really risen high in their ranking. They broke through that glass ceiling, and there several elections were held, and they did quite well for themselves. So needless to say, when the king arrived and threw them off their haughty seats of power, they were quite irate with me. They wanted to assail me and to assassinate me. So I had my trusty band of lemurs with me. Thank goodness. But I had to hunt them, and hunt them I did. So as they were trying to kill me, I was trying to kill them. And lo and behold, my band of lemurs had found their lair, deep in a cave on the side of a cliff. And in I valiantly strode forth. I said, "Lemurs, leave me! This is my task. You have brought me here, and you shall have your just rewards with whatever women you want of the land. But I, yes, I, will go forth alone." And into the land I went, and into the cave I went, yes. Lord Reginald Pippin! Yes, that is my name. And I must drink some more. There I was in the dock, ready to see what was inside. And there I was dragging my snake. I kind of had a limp. You know, it's kind of hard to walk with a giant anaconda laying all over your leg. Then I went. And there I found the snipes. And they surrounded me. And they had many spears with them that they held in their tiny little sharp beaks. Oh, they were very vicious snipes. You must watch out for those birds. And then, in an act of sheer madness and bravery, I took forth my sword. Yes, my sword! And I cut off my own frog! Ah! Ah! And the blood splattered everywhere, yes! And I sprayed the snipes with my crotch blood, and it went everywhere! Oh, it was a gory sight, gory sight. For you see, by cutting off my own manhood in the shape of a frog, I freed myself of the grasp of the anaconda, and it laid on the ground and flopped, and it started to attack the snipes. And I sat back and I laughed. Ah! Yes, and I drank some ambrosia. So, the anaconda finally got what it wanted. It finally found the snipes. But here, alas, I was left without my prized possession. And as I watched the anaconda devour the snipes one after the other, I couldn't help but think I would never lay with a woman again. At least not with that member. But lo and behold, I learned something new about myself. That fiery, tempestuous woman and the tattoo she gave me mystical powers. My crotch was invulnerable! It regenerated, even with the frog tattoo. But that's okay, because I had my member back. And I was so overwhelmed, and I just rejoiced to the heavens. Frog Crotch is back! Yes! I sang a hymn to the Frog Crotch gods. And with my sword, I went up to the anaconda that was still devouring the last snipe, who I hear was a mayor in one of the local towns. And I chopped off the head of the anaconda. And I gutted it, and I ate of its flesh. And I took its skin, and I strode back to my throne. And there on the floor I stretched out the skin of the anaconda beneath my feet. Yes, the king had returned with his own crotch intact, and the snake was no longer there. That is my tale. There is more, of course, and more detail, but I will not waste your time with such things. And it turns to my friend, yes, my friend, Baron von Guten, the royal ferret slayer of His Majesty the King of Morocco. Yes, Baron von Guten, tell me this tale that I've heard others talk about, that you have spewed forth from your most voluptuous lips. Tell me the tale of how you single-handedly defeated the Leviathan of the Deep and the vicious chicken of Bristol in 2 different places simultaneously. Tell me this tale. Oh, and thank you for the very fine hat. I think it is quite becoming of me. Yes, it brings out my eyes and my frog crotch. Yes.